Rabbit Hole Podcast, episode 14. More than halfway in the year. It's going fast. You want to speak about the proverbial elephant in the room? We got a lot of flack on this episode. Or the most previous episode.
Look, I feel like we did preface things by saying we're out of the country. It's an outsider's perspective. And I think the whole point of, I guess, the media that we have and the opportunity to be able to say your opinion or say some viewpoint of it is just, again, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
We never said that we were right, wrong, whatever it is. We did note of our shortcomings too.
Look,
but a reaction is a reaction.
Reaction is a reaction, yeah.
But there are some good reactions and there are some bad reactions. I will say that. As somebody who's been claimed to be the annoying one of this, which I take much offense to.
I think overarchingly, feedback taken, we can definitely take feedback.
100%.
But we're a channel that doesn't take ourselves too seriously. And I think as we evolve, we're going to get better researched in terms of, not that we haven't, by the way, in terms of like the topics that we have. But at the same time, I think this has led us down the rabbit hole, that there's some really interesting topics out there that we can definitely equip ourselves a bit more. But a reaction's a reaction, guys. I mean, you're on the internet.
And again, for those who did take time to make comments actually did, yes, thank you. And for those that use their comments in a wise way to better inform, thank you for taking your position as a citizen to be able to do that. For the others, no, thank you. But thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Okay, cool. Let's start. But you know what? The team is growing and we have a new member in the channel.
So many new things happening on the channel. And the next new thing is we would like to introduce our producer, Kat.
Hey, hello. Hello, everyone. Well, it's not just because of last episode I've been brought on. It's been in the works.
It's been in the works. We're wheeling and dealing.
Exactly.
Gotta get that growth.
Well, yeah, as mentioned, I'm producer Kat. I'm the sister of Patricia and the sister-in-law to Kevin. So we're really embracing a family business here.
Nepotism at its finest, baby.
Tell us a bit more about yourself, Kat. What do you like? What are the topics that you're kind of into? What sort of spaces?
So mostly I'm a lot into movies, TV, pop culture, considering my current position is I am a resource writer for the entertainment site Collider. And
credentials.
And so later on, you can expect on the channel that we'll be putting up some more pop culture content, including myself, and just keep a lookout for that.
Very nice. We love our pop culture.
A look of things to come. Very exciting.
So what do we have this week, Kat?
All right, let's kick it off with, we're going to start at home, particularly with Qantas.
Ooh, so look, Qantas
did a bad thing.
Qantas did a bad thing. They've had a 2 weeks from hell. So look, there's a lot of things that are happening here, but let's lay it down, right? So at the moment, the ACCC is taking Qantas to court alleging that they've sold tickets to flight that they cancelled in 2022. So misleading conduct. They sold an average of tickets 2 weeks after cancellation, and in some instances, more than 40 days after. Wait, you look really disturbed by this. There's more. Last week, in a Senate inquiry, the CEO of Qantas, Alan Joyce, and the CEO of Jetstar fronted the committee pertaining to the extension of the travel redemption credits, right? So what they'd done is they had extended it a couple of times, and at the end of this year, December, was supposed to be the last extension that they could do, right? So the Senate committee was going to ask them what's happening over here. And basically, Alan Joyce and the CEO of Jetstar basically held really firm in their stance that they were not going to extend it anymore, much to the disdain of the committee. Actually, there is video on YouTube about this, and there was nothing that Alan Joyce could have said that would have, it was just a hit piece. It's actually pretty brutal, right? 3 days after this Senate inquiry, because of the ACCC stuff that happened in unison, Alan Joyce released a video saying, after he's gone to the Senate committee and said, we are not going to extend it anymore. We've extended. You can see that the redemption rate is coming down, i.e. people are taking these coupons.
Yeah, redeeming it. Yeah. Sorry, it's funny when you say redemption, but that's the right word. But yeah, sorry.
It just comes off weird. Stating, so Alan Joyce, 3 days after getting grilled on the committee, being absolutely firm in his stance, he releases a video saying there will be no more expiry dates.
Well, you know, if you
Wait,
make enough
there's
noise.
more.
Oh, wow.
There is more. And all this comes after recent reports have been brought to light that the Qantas lobbied the government to block Qatar Airways' bid
Yes.
to more flights in Australia, which we know is, hint, hint, anti-competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's more. Like, it just doesn't stop. So last week as well, it was reported, because Alan Joyce is leaving as the incoming CEO of Qantas, that he's received a bonus of over $10 million. Bravo, Alan Joyce. That's a good payday. After meeting the company's COVID recovery goals. And wait, there's more. Of recently, I believe the CEO of Flight Centre took out a one-page ad, and this is very recent, basically condemning Qantas in terms of what they did, lobbying to the government to block Qatar Airways. So, my, they've had a last 2 weeks from hell. A lot of different things happening.
A lot of
here.
corporate beef happening. Like that's like, it feels like the equivalent with Flight Center, that diss track of an ad.
That is a diss track. Considering, I mean, that's pretty ballsy, because like, how many Qantas flights do you think are written by Flight Centre? They're capitalizing on the press, right?
That'd be a key partner for
But
sure.
of recent times, have we ever seen, like, at least an Australian company go through this much bad press?
Look, it's not a shock, right?
We're not a shock for Qantas?
Well, I mean, it's not a shock. Well, it's not a shock that there are, in light of COVID and I guess the business climate and everything, that these tactics, they're not even tactics. It's just the choice of how you're positioning, how you, I guess, deal with customers, deal with the bigger. No one could have planned for this situation to have happened, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to, I guess, manage it with the different stakeholders as best as they could possibly can. But I think it's a bit of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Because, with Qantas. And I think there is still a layer of ultimately the customer being right. And I think there is that other aspect, if we're talking about kind of, to your point, what you said, anti-competitive behavior, that's literally, this is my territory. I'm marking it. No, thank you. It's a bit of, I feel like you might need to think of ways to better manage like the business and the flow and whatnot.
Hold up. Let's talk about the headline thing is the ACCC taking Qantas to court, alleging that it sold tickets of flights that
which
they
is
canceled.
crazy.
Let's give an example of what this is. This is me on Facebook Marketplace.
Here we go.
No, like, just to practically illustrate how big this is. This is actually, of all the issues happening here, this is what's laddering up the most compelling and the most serious matter, right? Firstly, if you have the ACCC on your behind, it's terrible, because even just say hypothetically they get proved innocent. I don't even know if that's the right term to this. The ACCC is going to be on Qantas' back. So this is one in the case that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because now the ACCC is focused on you. But just as an example, this is equivalent to me going on Facebook Marketplace.
He loves Facebook Marketplace.
I love Facebook Marketplace. I'm talking to someone and I quote unquote sell a guitar to someone for $800, right? And they say, cool, you know what? I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. All right. This is today, right? And then during those whatever hours in the day, someone comes to me and says, you know what? I'll buy that same for 15 grand. And I'm like, sold, after I have quote and unquote sold it. So this is basically, you know, not market manipulation, but misleading conduct, because effectively you better believe that they were selling these for higher, I have to assume higher prices than what they initially sold. And they were not telling this to clients until it was too late and they had out of pocket. Because if you, for example, buy a ticket to Hawaii, you're also buying tickets to hotels. To transportation, right?
Yeah.
So you may get the money back from Qantas, but you're probably not going to get the ticket there. So you have Australians out of pocket already in not good favor with Qantas due to COVID, due to, you know, baggage claims. Like, God bless, we went through Qantas and we were lucky, but I've heard so many horror stories of Qantas,
things that are completely out of your control, right? And people just need to, one, get out of the country in light of, I guess, with COVID, revenge travel, yes.
Yep.
But two, they just expect the the level of service as required, right? And it's not that much of a big ask in the grand scheme of things, considering
That's what you're paying for, right?
100%. I do want to make a disclaimer here that just for you, with the Facebook Marketplace example there, that is not an example of, how he does business and whatnot. Just
No, I'm open for offers, but it's pretty big there. But let's talk about the Qantas brand, because we're marketers, right? So we're really interested in the brand. So especially look, we came from a different country. Like, I wasn't born in Australia. The Qantas brand is as strong as an Australian brand as you can get. It's a damn flying kangaroo. I mean, it doesn't get more Australian than that, right?
Synonymous.
There's so
many
with it.
things synonymous.
How about that brand campaign?
Calling Australia home, man.
Australia.
I mean, that's up there.
I mean, that's our second national anthem, surely. That's our second national anthem. That is an anthem, right?
People would question and argue other songs, which we'll talk about later, but 100%.
That's up there. That's up there. But
the emotions get on high every single time that ad comes on.
It's pretty intense, right? And like how that's
patriotism at its finest.
That's an old ad that Qantas did, and once or twice it'll still come on, right? Because the great thing about Qantas is they're constantly refreshing their ad campaigns. They're big on brand, right?
Around the world, away from their family
anyway,
and
so
friends.
all is which to say that the Qantas brand means a lot to Australia, right?
Yes.
What do you think about that, Kat? How important do you think the Qantas brand is to Australia?
Well, especially in comparison to America that has so many like domestic sort of airlines, I think Qantas is just the one you think of at the drop of a hat when it comes to like Australian travel.
Why though? Why? Because I agree.
Because they've survived.
True, during this pandemic.
And Ansett, remember, guys?
I just, what the hell? That's a blast from the past. But the whole narrative that I'm trying to wheel here is, it's because this is the whole buy Australian thing, right? It actually is.
Yeah.
It actually is, right? Because they've invested so much in their brand. A lot of Australians want to.
It's trusted. It's tested.
Why is it trusted? Because it's Australian, right?
Well, it's yeah, and it's I guess through your marketing and you build that brand trust, that that expectation, which is why I guess when you're thinking about all these stories, it's like, oh, they would never do that to us.
Yep.
And here we are. It's it's funny to think of the behavior. The first thing, as you were saying all that stuff, it's like, so it's like with the discount airliners, the unreliability at times. But otherwise, it's a matter of, I guess, things happen, right? Like it's no one is safe when it comes to from a branding point of view.
So then my next question is, they've built so much of this brand equity prior to COVID happening. So COVID, in the words of Alan Joyce, knocked us for six, which is such an Australian way of articulating something. But Alan Joyce, six is a good thing. I get what you're saying. But anyway.
Yeah, that doesn't quite make sense.
It's a weird one, right? They're just saying they got knocked about, but knocked for six. You want to score six, man. Anyway, anyway, can their brand recover? Because I mean, we're this is back to back to back, and it seems the wider rhetoric of the public. I mean, the Current Affair are having a field day with this. They love it. They absolutely love it. Alan Joyce, so to me,
Alan Joyce must be like
number one.
Well, no, what I'm saying here is it's I wonder when the changeover is going to happen, because one, did he think he was going to get unscathed here? Yeah. But it's just like, okay.
What does it matter? It's got 10 million in the bank.
Yeah,
walking all the way to the bank with these Benjamins.
But it's a bit, I can't help but think, would he be, because he did lead Qantas, I guess, the most part through the last.
Well, it was a great
through his tenure.
It was a great executive.
It was great, right? Yeah. And I guess the legacy gets tarnished just at the end. But I'll answer your question, I think, about with brand trust, with Qantas again, will they recover? I'm sure they will. However, I guess the only caveat there is depending on, I guess, the outcomes with ACCC, right? Because that's pretty damning.
Well, actually, I don't want to play hypotheticals because it's pretty intense. But yeah, to me, I think this is interesting because, like, to me, do you feel like at a certain level there's some brands that just can't fail? Like big brands that have built equity for so long time. When you think about Australia as well, we are so brand ingrained, And
I wouldn't say we're completely brand ingrained. It
I think
depends,
for certain,
right?
I think for certain things,
Love a good home brand from time to time.
yeah. So sorry, I meant like when you think about flight is really interesting because you have this caveat of quality, and all of that, right? Which is so
comfort.
safety. Actually, sorry, safety was the main element there, right? So when, for example, they have low cost China Airways, Scoot, and all of that, like it's just so amazing. Like psychologically, there is such a big dissonance there, right?
Yeah.
But then you think about it now when you say like, I will out of spite not use the Qantas brand again. People are saying that they're no longer going to fly it. I think we talk a big game there, but like if I've traveled to Melbourne for business, you better believe I'm going to still say Qantas. Like I almost feel like the Australian public, and to me this Qatar Airways is a very important one as well, just simply does not have the amount of choice to fully boycott Qantas.
Yeah.
And even though they're a private enterprise, they're like, where there's smoke, there's fire. It seems like there's a guarded government interest to which at least the current Albanese government has not been able to articulate. And that's what the opposition is zoning at it. What is the national interest? So that was the term and phrase used. There is national interest to keep Qantas, like to block Qatar Airways. And like, if you talk to any like layman off the street, us included, like, what does it look like? It looks like you're guarding them.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of any strategic national. It's not owned by the government. So I think that's interesting. And the last question is, will you be flying Qantas? You better believe, Will. What do you think we're going to do with these damn Qantas points?
There is that. You're right.
They've got us everything.
The loyalty program is probably top notch there, to be honest.
I work in financial comparison. I'm not going to name the company. And people go gaga over Qantas points, even though they can't really understand.
It has really served us well from time to time.
It works.
Look, I think it's a matter of depending on what is available, if it's tried and tested, I guess it remains to be seen. The bigger question here is, when is our next travel plans?
All right, I'm going to zone this one out.
All right. Well, maybe your next travel plans could be to the US,
Ooh.
where currently the US Open is happening in New York.
It's the last one of the Grand Slam, right?
Last Grand Slam for the season, of the 2023 season.
Can I ask, is this year the US Open, is it earlier? I feel like the US Open's always in around November. I don't know why. Am I wrong?
No, it's usually around September.
September.
Okay.
Towards the end of summer.
Yep.
Have you guys been watching much of it?
No.
To be fair,
I'm a Federer fanboy, so once that went down,
it's
still stuck. Huh?
They did not figure out the handover period.
What's to figure out? The talent's the talent.
But it's they over-indexed, I think, and Kat would agree, right?
You're acting like it's the Illuminati of the men's, the ATP.
No, Federer, Nadal. We don't want to let go. We don't want to let go of them.
Of that golden era.
Let's run them ragged until they're 60. I blame Federer.
Well, why?
He should have just continued to play. He took it away from us. He took the golden. Imagine if he
Hot
somehow
takes coming in. Hot takes coming in.
Federer. You got way too much money for your own good. Anyway, sorry.
Oh,
Plus,
dear.
to be fair, unfortunately with time zones, most of the matches are like 1 a.m. our time or 9 a.m. our time.
Look, I've always been one to stay up when I could, stay up for Wimbledon games. Arguably, there is a correlation here. I drink much more water during Wimbledon games because you got to stay awake somehow, right?
Okay, tell us, what do we need to know? What do we need to know about?
Give us the lowdown for people
what are the
who
main
are not
happening?
as much in touch with tennis these days.
AKA me.
All right. Well, at the moment for this US Open, so there's been an actual good shift at the moment in terms of the next gen coming in.
Ooh.
I know there's much talking about like changing of the guard, but I mean Djokovic is still there.
Boo.
Sorry,
I couldn't mute that. That was just an immediate reaction that I had.
This is his return to the US Open after a couple of years, since last year he was not permitted because he was not vaccinated.
True. Is that why he's growing the beard?
What are you?
That's a whole other side topic. we were having.
Have you noticed that he's now trying to do the more than a 5 o'clock shadow? Because I think it's just to try and get the popular vote.
I've
just being likable.
I've just noticed that I don't have shoes on. Anyway,
So-
You know what you need to get? You need to get those new Federer shoes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not sponsored, but could be. Federer. Hello.
Yep.
And at the moment, he is a frontliner along with Carlos Alcaraz, who is the defending champion from last year, and he previously just won Wimbledon.
Jesus, this guy's on a roll, isn't he?
Is it like he's like? What's his game like?
How would you compare his game?
Yeah.
He's
a baseliner, right?
He has,
all the Spaniards are baseliners.
yes, he's been he's been called to have a lot of the best elements of the top three,
Okay.
which was Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. Obviously, he has been likened to Nadal a lot because he's from Spain.
Lazy
like
comparison.
Nadal
Makes sense.
2.0, like
Yes,
I mean,
because he's young. He just turned 20. So
yes, he's got a lot more coming.
he has
right?
achieved a lot so far, and he's obviously become a new favorite of the new generation. But continuing with the new generation, actually, it seems fitting that the US Open has created such a grand stage for a lot of American players to come to the front.
They're coming back. Remember the old days of like
Just
the
remember
Williams.
Agassi, eh?
Yeah, well, okay, that's a bit too. Like, I get that. It's a bit
Yeah.
too old. I was referring to,
What?
the Williams sisters and Roddick.
Wait, you're missing James Blake, man.
Oh yeah,
that's
that's James
Blake.
Blake.
A throwback.
So I remember
Yeah.
James Blake. He would never go past the third round, but he was a model back in those days.
He's a beautiful man.
Beautiful. He's a good man. I gotta say.
Still is.
Even when he shaved his hair, he had such good
I
looking
forgot
hair.
that. Yeah,
he shaved his
he
hair.
had the like kind of a afro, right?
what
And then
I
he
re-
shaved it. It was like whoa.
So you would have
because it's the aerodynamics probably cutting through the more speed
I can't
on the court.
remember. There was this other guy. He always came around during Australian Open. I can't remember. He was a big servant volley. He had big hair. I can't remember. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. That class of American men, at least, because the women have always had
Women
like,
be dominating.
Lindsay Davin. Like they've had American women.
Yeah.
In the women's game, America has always had, to me, strong representation.
Well,
Obviously indexed with the
that's the
Williams
thing as
sisters,
well, right? Because even prior to that, we're talking about Pete Sampras, we're talking about Agassi, we're
Yeah,
talking
but they
about
were like lone wolves, right?
Michael Chang,
Oh boy.
Yeah.
the boy.
Anyway, who are the new guys? Who are the
Yeah.
new guys?
So currently for this season, some of them we actually saw at United Cup this year when America was a big team there.
Tiafo.
So yes, for example, there's Francis Tiafoe, there's Taylor Fritz, Jessica Pegula, Madison Keys, and Coco Gauff.
I really enjoyed watching them actually.
The Davis Cup.
No, the United Cup, because again, as we're watching tennis players that I haven't really, again, hardcore Federer loyalist to a T, right?
Yeah.
And I would watch other stuff, but it just feels like you need to win my heart again. I can't. If I'm going to invest a lot of time watching these players, I need to make sure that I'm gonna back you.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have some pizzazz,
Watching-
some like ability.
Following a player is an investment, but it's good. I think at least for America as well, it's good to have these athletes like be in the spotlight, and no better time than your like home
And your home
Grand
court.
Prix.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
especially because a lot of them have been gaining the time slots of the primetime matches.
Makes sense.
As it
Which
was.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
It's like Australia. Maybe they learned it from. Maybe
Exactly.
they learned it from Australian
how
Open.
we do it for Australian
You mean to say
Open.
they don't do that in other ones? Surely they do that in like the French Open and all that. Surely they feature like their players.
See, this is the other thing I wouldn't know.
You
French
wouldn't know.
Open.
You don't
French
watch it.
Open was never available readily. Anyway.
apart from the US players, what else is happening?
Well, I was just going to continue. Speaking of Roddick, another player, Ben Shelton, he recently became the youngest qualifier in the quarterfinals since Andy Roddick at 20 years old.
How young we talk? 20 years old.
He is 20 years old, and
I've
he
seen
will
him.
be facing Francis Tiafoe. Well, you'll most likely know him. He broke out in this year's Australian Open.
Yep.
He also reached the quarterfinals. And
Ooh.
for him to be debuting after allegedly switching out from college to become professional, he's doing very well for 20 years old as well.
Yeah. Why they
Interesting.
gotta do that like that, man? American on American crime.
Well, you gotta start. I guess
Great storylines, by the way. Though.
Yeah. It's got the makings of like the next rivalry, right? And I think that's what I'm missing. I'm missing just the.
Who were the rivalries? The rivalry was the big four, right? Like when they let's not forget what's the Brit name?
Andy Murray.
Well, he's part of the big four, right?
Big Four,
Yeah,
yes.
he's part of the big four.
Yes.
Andy Murray. Yeah.
he was part of the big
He
four.
would detest you saying Brit, Scottish.
Yes,
shit.
yes.
Yeah?
From UK. you could
Leave a
say.
comment, Andy Murray, if you're watching.
That was a favorite impression around the house
who-
back
who
in
do
the
you
day.
think
Throw it back.
Who do you think is gonna win it?
Well, at the moment, it's still Alcaraz, who we are hoping
Okay, who's gonna challenge him then?
to defend the title. Well, you were talking about rivalries. You will note that potentially in Alcaraz's upcoming final, he will be going against Yannick Sinner again, which might be a grudge match because last year in the quarterfinals they did a 5-setter that went for 5 hours and 15 minutes.
You're right.
So that is a rivalry I would recommend you guys watch out for.
Sinner. What nationality?
Italian.
Sounds like a sinner.
Oh dear. Oh
Just
my.
joking,
No.
Just joking, man.
No.
I love pasta. What are you talking about? that's the whole justification I have.
Oh my gosh.
What are you talking about? Bro?
That's a bit unfortunate, hey, because because I guess Catholicism and whatnot.
With a
and
name
then-
like
Okay,
that.
this has gone down a very wrong rabbit hole.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, a lot of people are most likely predicting it will be another Alcaraz Djokovic final because they're on the opposite side.
Yes, makes
In the
sense.
draw.
1 and 2, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, of course, the third seed, one of your favorites,
You're a little kid.
Daniil Medvedev.
You're a little
He was
kid.
probably going to be a dark horse because he hasn't been getting as much attention because it's all been focused on Alcaraz and Djokovic.
Ah, yeah.
Amen.
I
I like Medvedev. I actually like Medvedev.
Yes, he's a funny fellow.
Had to warm up to that guy,
Lucy,
but
innit?
he's funny, man. He's funny.
He's Russian, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll just leave it at that.
Oh no, you can't
No.
say that.
But, well, he has a shot because
boy,
he is
my boy.
also a former US Open
Yeah,
champion.
he is.
Yeah.
2021.
I actually remember.
He's the
Was that
makings
US?
of a champion.
Yeah, he beat Djokovic, so...
Let's
That's
go. Wait, which side is he on? Is he on? So would he meet
Freaked out
Djokovic in the?
He's on Alcaraz's side, I
Oh
believe.
no. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so that's most of the male players. On the women's side, actually, there was a shocker that just happened today.
What we got?
Defending champion Iga Swiatek and world number 1, she got bundled out
Oh
in
no.
3 sets against Ostapenko.
We were like, she's the favorite, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I always love a good favorite getting knocked out early.
Yes.
Like you need one of those in every tournament.
Yes, we also watched her at United Cup
We
as
did.
well.
We did.
And so, unfortunately, she's been knocked out. So then that shifts the attention back most likely to Coco Gauff, one of the upcoming Americans as well, which she's doing quite well. And I hope she has a shot as well. So
It's so good to have these. I don't know if it was the politically correct way to say it, but Black African American athletes in tennis, because it's just not like, we'll transition to the next one, but with basketball, like it's just not something that you see a lot of African American athletes. I say that, and then obviously Serena.
Well, there's
Williams.
a fair
But
amount coming in.
From the
Yeah.
men's side, if you
Yeah.
think about it, it's just not that lucrative.
it's
'Cause
very
you'd rather be a bowler,
Eurocentric.
You'd rather be if you think about
Yeah.
it, can you imagine how good LeBron James would be if he was a tennis player? Oh my god, he would break the racket. Like what I mean is he has the coordination. He's 6'5". Can you imagine the force on that forehand? Like what I'm saying is,
Like smack it.
like honestly, like you'd probably break Federer. Like I'm just saying, if you think about perfect athletes, and obviously,
Oh, the genetic makeup and whatnot. Yeah.
and also Tiafoe is like, he's tiny, right?
No.
Is he?
At least 6 foot. That's
He's
the
a
average.
point guard off the bench. That's what I'm saying. I don't mean that in a bad way because I'm like 5'1". Like I'm not even going to mention it. I'm
At
just
least he admitted
I'm
it.
just saying it by athletic standards.
He is 6'2", yes.
Yeah, it'd be a point guard if anyway. But
Jeez.
hey man, you do it. You do.
Time.
What time?
It's my favorite.
All right.
So otherwise, we'll have the rest of the second week of US Open to look forward to.
Should be good. We should watch it.
Get some
Exactly.
drama
Watch a
llama.
Especially when
We
the
can make the time
finals.
zones work.
Yes, when the finals come in.
I always remember, sorry, I have to say this, when I was at school and then the final would happen just in time during our PDHPE class. So we'd run around, like do our like laps and whatnot, and then we'd sit down and watch the tennis. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great memory. Great memory.
Sorry, just take you back down memory lane there for a second.
All right. Well, tennis is one of the hot sports at the moment, but there's also, let's pivot to the basketball, which is a lot happening in the basketball.
Well, it's not about basketball specifically, but it is about the NBA. So check this out.
Okay.
American, I'm going to call him track star, Noah Lyles.
Track and field.
Is he track and field?
Oh,
Well,
I just like saying track. I just like saying track and field.
Nah,
athletics.
He
it's
runs.
athletics.
He runs 100
Athletics.
meters, 400 meters.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
Noah Lyles was feeling himself after he won his third straight 200 meters world title at the Athletic World Cups Championship in Hungary. And after he won it, like he was being interviewed,
Yeah.
and he decided to bring this gem out. You know the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. He said, world champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong, I love the US at times, but it ain't the world. We are the world. So he's decided on his moment
To make a grand statement.
to make a statement like that. But let's speak to it because this got a lot of debate in Sports Center, Stephen. Like it got a lot of debate because it's an interesting debate topic. So in the NBA championship,
Yeah.
when they win it, they call themselves the world champions.
Mm.
So it's a well-known fact of life
It's on the hat. I'm simulating a hat.
it's a well-known fact in life that the NBA is the premier
League.
the Premier League, right? Everyone who plays basketball wants to go to the NBA. They have the best athletes. They definitely have the biggest contracts, even amongst American sort of
Another
sports.
example of branding at its finest, I presume you could say.
Well, no. Just the athletes and the standard of
Oh, yeah.
basketball is seen as is better, right? However, if you take it at its literal word and call someone world champion, it's an American league, right? So that's I guess the point that he was trying to make. But this really ruffled an accord with all the NBA players. And as we found out, social media is the social conscience of the world. They came at him. Like, they're like, who the hell is this guy? I can run the 200 meters better. This is petty, obviously. It started to get petty. And Drake again, you know, the social conscience of hip hop, came in and said, bro thought he was so hard when he practiced this in the mirror. And now the whole NBA hates him. So, look. That's the kickback because obviously there got to be some hurt brothers out there. But what do you think? Do you think that? And by the way, this is not only relegated to the NBA. For example, in baseball they call it the World Series, and baseball is even less international a game, right? Like than basketball.
Yeah, I only know the other baseball country I know is Japan.
Yeah, like, so it's quite niche if you think about it to call it. Well, maybe in that regard you could call it the World. I don't know. I actually don't know. So the proponents let's go against, which of the NBA guys is, hold up, we're the best league in the world.
Yeah.
So if you win an NBA championship, it's worth 10 Euro Cups, whatever. And secondly, 40% or whatever are international people anyway. The last 3 MVPs, I mean this year, Nikola Jokic, Serbian. Giannis Antetokounmpo, God, I'm so happy I'm pronouncing these names. Greek. That's how international this damn sport is. Luka Doncic is like probably one of the best players there. All the international players at this moment are actually more elite than some of the American players. But what do you guys think about it?
I just think it's funny that he just maybe he actually is like a PR genius because he's trying to get his
This is all
name.
marketing, isn't
he's
it?
trying to get his name out there somehow.
Actually, I never thought of. You're right. I never thought of it that way
See?
because Noah who? Bible? Like that's the only Noah I know. Like
What? There are other great Noahs like Noah Wiley from ER. Anyway,
okay, anyway, but I think you're right because I can't think of why you would go out of your way to say something like that when it just does not. I mean, I can see the connection, but do you think it's a very American thing to label your championship as a world champion? Because it kind of feels like it is. They do it often.
I do think it is because not to stereotype, unfortunately, but there's this belief that America usually likes to think that it is the center of the universe, and so it applies it through whether it's politics, whether it's entertainment. But I suppose, yeah, like the way that they call it world championships, for example, is it because the whole world is following it in a sense?
It has more,
but the audience.
Branding, hello.
From a
I'm
marketing
saying
perspective,
it, yeah.
how much better does world champion than NBA champ means? Like it sounds better, right? World champion. It does.
Yes, it does. It's funny how you said Euro Cup, right? Because even then that could be presumed as like, hey, the Brazilians will be like, what about us in soccer and whatnot, right? Like,
but that's what, like, yeah.
South America,
There were
sorry.
lots of debates about it. And well-known commentator Stephen A. Smith was talking about it.
Here we go.
And he had a very he said that Noah was misinformed. And then one of his famous actor mates, I can't remember the guy's name, by the way.
We'll find it out and put it in the comments.
He's German, and he reached out saying that you all know, like, you'll have seen him, but I won't know the name. It's not an A-lister. Shit, man. I'm gonna get but anyway, he was saying that you are wrong because by virtue, like, it is basically a country league. You can't call it there. You think of leagues that are just as big and multicultural, such as the soccer leagues out there. They don't call themselves the world champion, and they're bigger. It's a bigger sport than America, right?
They just have very confusing lines of leagues because
that's the whole thing in itself. But he was saying that in an argument, in a sport such as basketball, there are sports that are arguably more world-centric, and they still don't call themselves world champions. And he was making a cultural observation that this is a very American thing to do. So if they need any more flack. But I thought that was interesting. It's good fodder. But NBA guys, come on, man. Don't be so sensitive. You're making so much more money than that.
the reaction of it, the smack
I can
talk.
beat you in 200 meters. Come on, man.
Come on,
Aaron
guys.
Gordon, you can't do that. You're a power forward. Keep it real.
Okay, all right. Don't know what any of that means, but anyway.
All right, bring it down. But still staying in America.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, well, coming off from last episode, we have a new favorite segment that we like to call Vivek Watch 2023-2024.
Dum dum dum.
Can I say that I fully endorse Vivek Watch? He's got 2 years of content and hopefully some decent, subscribes and commentary here. But the floor is yours. Keep talking.
So, obviously,
we're a Vivek-friendly podcast. Sorry, I had to say that.
Well, you've clearly made that point, right?
So, following his appearance at the GOP debate, which we covered in last episode, he's made headlines again in terms of what happened at a recent campaign event. Which apparently involves.
Sorry, I had to.
Which involves Eminem. Why don't you tell us more?
If he had one shot to make a meme video of him, would you catch it or just fumble it and possibly get into a lawsuit?
So what happened here? Can someone explain?
What happened exactly? Yeah. So he was at the Iowa State Fair,
as you do,
which is basically just another part of the campaign route for all the Republicans, I believe. Yep. And then he was on stage having his kind of moment to talk to, I believe, I can't remember the name, sorry, of the woman who he was speaking to, but basically a Q&A that was going on. And then he was talking about the fact that that's like his favorite Eminem track. He resonates with it very well, and he took the opportunity just to decide to perform it. He took his one shot. Mom spaghetti.
Wait, did he do the whole song or what? Wait, did he rap it freestyle or did he have the music playing in the background?
There was a track lying underneath it.
Good, Vivek. At least you're playing hitting it on time.
But he was
the rap good or what?
He started to towards the end when it was getting, like when you're losing all oxygen, he's gonna push it out. He's gonna push it out.
So what's Eminem doing? Like suing him?
So yes.
Come on, man.
He and BMI, which is the Broadcast Music Inc., have sent him a cease and desist letter, and claiming his right under the BMI political entity's license, which empowers artists to remove their music from being used in political campaigns. In the letter, it says BMI will consider any performance of the Eminem works by the Vivek 2024 campaign from this date forward to be a material breach of the agreement for which BMI reserves all rights and remedies with respect thereto. So basically, Vivek, no more off the cuff rap battles, right? You know, like and
what did Vivek say to this?
So he had said in an MSNBC interview, a very ballsy response as when he was asked about this, that he'll respect his wishes, but he would like to say, Will, the real Slim Shady, please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up.
I'm sorry. This guy can do no wrong in my books.
He goes, Eminem and his rise used to be the guy who actually stood up to the establishment and said things that the establishment didn't want him to say. I think the fact that my political viewpoints may differ from his, and I think people change over the course of their lives. It's very, very calculated move. Again, PR, whoever his team is, whoever, like him himself, being a businessman, has engineered this.
Can I say something about Vivek, right?
Here we go.
Sorry for cutting you off.
No.
Vivek is, I have no doubt that this is planned.
Oh, for sure.
Vivek is a master at earned media, like non-paid media, because he's had to do that without all the sponsorships that like the bigger sort of candidates get. So honestly, this is just more 4D stuff that I see him. He is out there on every podcast network, you spamming it there. But the other thing is, if you look at like older videos back of his days when he was a younger kid, he's actually rapped before.
So can I read this very quickly? So the Rolling Stone has done some research on him, and you're right. He's done some political raps at his time in Harvard.
Wait, specifically political raps, not
political
just rapping.
Raps?
Oh, my man.
Get this. He has a stage name.
What's his name?
Vivek the Rapper.
Wait, was this before Chance the Rapper? Chance the Rapper.
Oh dear. But he made a point in the New York Times saying I did not grow up in the circumstances that Eminem did, but the idea of being an underdog, people having low expectations of you, that part speaks to me. I swear Eminem has inspired him to run for politics.
You tell him, bro. You tell him, bro. Wait, okay. I love it. Tick. What do you think, Kat?
I saw the video and it's...
He was into it, eh?
It's entertaining and obviously that gains attention. Yeah. And so it's, whether or not it was intentional, it's working. Like we are talking about it.
And you know, you wouldn't think that he would have to do a point of differentiation considering, I guess, the demographic and cultural differences, but he went there. Look,
he's getting a lot of flack at the moment, and we'll transition across to the actual segment of this about the music. But the knives are out. Like, he's on social media, he's embracing it, and clearly he's a debater. Clearly, you can by the way he's able to get these one-liners. It's either he's thinking about it or he's generally a rapper, just in a different form. In a different form. No, he is, because if you see in the GOP debate how he was able to come really quickly. He is a rapper. It's just a different sort of art. But anyway, what were you saying about the music? Because
the point being here as well, I think we have to make a point about, in this time and age of arts and the art form and music being used without permission in political campaigns. It's there's a big history around it. And I think what I'd like to do is run through the top 8 or so that I have done research on, that other people have done as well. Sorry, just to give credit to everyone, you know, who's done the research. Good on them.
8 to 1.
Here we go. So first up, we have My Hero by the Foo Fighters.
How's that song go?
There goes my hero. That's it. That's all we can play. That's all we can play. Right? It was used in the 2008 John McCain campaign.
There you go.
And I think a comment that said that was really interesting here is, the saddest thing about that is that my hero was written as a celebration of the common man and his extraordinary potential. To have it appropriated without our knowledge and used in a manner that perverts the original sentiment of the lyric just tarnishes the song.
Testy. But I get it.
I love me some Dave Grohl. I'll always be like, yeah.
What else we got?
We've got, look, the next two are from Trump. Let's be real. That was always going to happen.
Yeah.
We got Rihanna with Please Don't Stop the Music.
That makes no sense.
It was used in rallies. And basically, this is hilarious. The social media coming with a vengeance. All of the fans, the Navy, told Rihanna, hey, this is happening. And she subtweeted them and says, me nor my people would ever be at or around any one of those tragic rallies.
About Trump specifically, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then Happy by
song.
Pharrell
Good song.
was also used in Trump's campaign.
Yep.
And this one is a bit dark. But it's just, guys, I think we need to understand the time and the place, the sentiment or the tone of the song and whatnot. Essentially, it was on the day of a mass murder of 11 human beings at the hands of a deranged nationalist. They played Happy at a political event.
Did they mean to? I mean, they meant to play, but did they know that was happening?
Oh, yeah. It's like, I mean, like if you're in politics, you got to understand news, right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that's bad call there, I would say.
Yep.
Closer to home, because we have to bring it home. Do we all remember Clive Palmer and those really annoying ads?
On every YouTube roll.
He's got money to throw.
money to burn, man.
He had money to burn, but he did not have money to acquire the rights for Twisted Sisters. We're not going to take it.
We're not gonna take it.
He did an appropriation of Australia's ain't gonna cop it in
I thought it was
2019.
pretty cool, actually. I thought it was a good rendition.
But he had to pay up
Yes.
$1.5 million in damages in 2021.
Hey, work it, girl. You get that money. Clive.
Like, I mean, if you got the money to pump the ads,
for it.
but you don't have money to respect the artists, I don't know.
Yeah. For those ones, if they get the approval from the artist, they could, technically, right?
Well, you have to get the approval, right?
But
to
is it of
use
the artist or the license or whatever? Like, how do you...
You'd have to, I'm pretty
Both,
sure
right?
you'd have to ask. Yeah, I'm sure there's levels of licensing, like,
It almost
Yeah.
feels
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
especially for the artists like Rihanna and Dave Grohl, in the examples that you've used, like fundamentally, it seems like they just don't want their work associated in the political arena. It just basically feels like that.
oh yeah, like can you imagine? I guess yeah. Look, songs like jingles in advertising is a very effective form of communicating to people, right?
Yep.
So you got to get the people. You got to have some level of kind of shortcut association, right? And so yeah, by that merit, if you don't want to be affiliated with any political leanings, then 100%, it's the exact same thing that happened to very quickly. Lose Yourself also got used by the New Zealand Nationalist Party, and they had to pay $600K in damages. We've also got MGMT Kids. That was used in Nicolas Sarkozy's campaign.
Yep.
They had to pay money as well, but it wasn't as much as they'd like. I think it was only 30,000 euros, which is like not much, all things considering. ABBA, Take a Chance on Me.
Yes.
See, it's very funny as well. It's like Take a Chance on Me. It's just the like on the nose type of songs being used to convey a message, right? And then finally, we've just to make sure that we're not beating up on the Republicans. We do have an example of Democrats with Obama using "Hold On, I'm Coming." So in 2008. No. No, it's a "Hold On."
That's
That's it.
I thought it was just hold on, I'm coming home. Like, I don't know.
Can you imagine though?
Hey man, Obama is.
He could do it, eh?
Yeah, Obama.
He could have, sorry.
Obama has his own damn Spotify playlist. He can do whatever he wants, man. He's in the pop culture ether now.
That's what Vivek is trying to be.
Dude,
clearly.
Vivek will surpass him, all right? Like, we'll easily, mate. Yeah.
That's just how it is. Well, speaking of using songs in campaigns, just last night, there was a new video release in relation to the voice referendum coming up and of the particular song choice. and it looks like we're going to do a reaction.
Yeah,
to
we'll
it.
do a reaction on it. What we want to say is we're going to talk specifically about the video from a marketing sort of campaign perspective, right?
Communications.
So this is obviously a very important time in Australian history. Australians will decide on October the 14th whether to amend the constitution to formally recognize Indigenous people through the creation of a body that advises the parliament and the executive government on policies affecting them. Now, whether you agree, want to vote yes or no is your choice, obviously. There's a lot of information outlets out there on YouTube and anywhere that you can get to do it. But just to note, we're going to react to the video specifically and talk about it from a marketing perspective because we are marketers and we're just interested in it. So this was released today at the time of recording. I don't know what time it's going to be now. From the Uluru Statement from the Heart. What is that? That's the organization, right? Like...
Yeah, it's the Uluru. Sorry, one moment. Let me get my.
Okay, I've got it playing already. Yeah.
Sorry, let me just get my notes up. It is from the... One moment. Oh my goodness gracious. Is from Uluru Dialogue, which I believe it's an organization, that is... Yeah,
that's been fundamental to like helping shape the voice and what the current iteration kind of looks like.
That's pretty much it.
That's it. Okay, so let's look at this campaign. We're going to put the video in.
While we're on that, just to circle back on it, Uluru Statement from the Heart. It's an invitation from the group of First Nations people to non-Indigenous Australians.
Yep.
That was shared in 2017. That calls for substantive reform to help realize Indigenous rights through the establishment of an Indigenous voice to Parliament and excuse me if I can't pronounce this right, Makarrata Commission.
Okay.
All right, let's get on with the
Let's
video.
check out this video right now.
In the 1967 referendum, over 90% of Australians voted
What a track.
yes, feeling the time had come to give
This is what I was saying. This could be argued as a national anthem as well.
Oh, fun. I love the color grading on this.
Well, it's the history, right?
Nostalgia, yeah.
Like, look at the outfits. Look at the bricks.
Period correct outfits. Oh, Bobby boy.
We are right to instill national pride in our children. Our national pride encompass humanity.
Eddie Marbo and 5 other Pacific Islanders.
Marbo?
I love this like TV through the TV and telling the story.
Well, because the point is through, I guess, time and time again, we've been involved in so much history, right?
Kathy Freeman, where did you watch that 400 meters? Because I had just come to this country and I watched that, so I didn't understand the hoopla. That was such a big moment.
That was big.
That was huge, yeah. The pressure on her.
Sorry day. Oh, the kids have grown up.
Fires, we forgot about that.
Mate, constantly happens, right?
NRL, Indigenous round, huge.
It's just crazy, right? Seeing the time and time again in the different domains where all this change is happening, and obviously we've got the yes vote for equality. That's the Uluru Statement from the Heart.
Yep.
2017, we seek to be heard.
What a tune, eh?
Boy, still got pipes. Today we face a question about the future of our nation. How we respond will make our history. Oh, democracy sausage. That is such a Australian
Sausage
thing.
singers.
I'm sorry, but that's not going to count as a formal vote.
Yeah. Okay, Jessica.
You must fill out the ballot paper.
Fill out the ballot paper, either write yes or no. Don't tick and cross it.
Okay.
No inflammatory pictures or other things of any kind.
What do you
Please.
think? What do you think of the video? I loved it.
You loved it? Why did you love it?
Hold up. So that as just a video, like a YouTube, it's a song, man.
It's a piece of comms. Yeah.
Well, okay. So again, just to put it out there, we're going to talk about the video from a marketing perspective.
The content.
Not about the merits of the yes or no. So it's just about this, right? So obviously this is a video, a market. It's a campaign. It's a marketing campaign.
It's a campaign, yeah.
For the yes side, right? Not for the no side, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So
To affirm that question.
Yeah, to affirm, yeah. And I think from like a nostalgia like trip down memory lane, it was beautiful. It was thematic. That song could not have been better. It's called The Voice, man. Like I know you're against it, and you can say your piece, but I think you can't pick a more iconic song. It still slaps, and I can tell you now, if we go to Spotify, it's getting rings on this thing. When you go and get your democracy sausage, it's going to be blaring on bloody repeat the whole day. You're going to want to turn that off. So like to me, the brand alignment kind of works there. It's very artistic in it's a very new school sort of way, in a very, what do you call it? In a modern storytelling way, I think. Mm-hmm. I think what it's missing. Anyway, before I say that, what do you think? What's your initial reaction?
Look, my initial reaction when I watched it,
strong though, right?
It was strong because it's an emotive piece of communications, and it's. I think the first job is awareness.
Yep.
So it's trying to get people to understand, to take interest in it, because as we know time and time again, when it comes to politics, there are those that are heavily interested and vocal about it. Then we've got sometimes a sea of people that aren't interested at it at all for reasons that are varying. And then I think as this issue has come to light, and we had known that, there was going to be a referendum called on it much earlier in the year, it's been kind of leading up to it. It's part of, I guess, the campaign promise from Albanese government. And it's been attempted many times ago. There was a vote, I believe, in 1999, I want to say it was.
It's happened.
That has had some iteration of it happen. It's the job. The job of the comms is to gain awareness and to convince people to say yes. And the stance that they've taken, it's not even to say yes, I think, but it's just about through showing the history of time and time again how whether you believe it or not, that you can have the power to change something that impacts a lot of people, that can shape the country moving forward. And I think as we've covered in many other episodes prior to, where we are at this cusp of change in so many different ways, from a cultural, demographic point of view, like learning from the history prior to and everything. That's what this comms is doing, right? And it's trying to get people to lean in and to show up for the day, right? Now, I really do respect it from a comms point of view in that it did that, right? I can't help but think, and I will start with the song, because I think, as you said, that's the thing that comes on and it gets your attention, right? Because that's
the people going.
That's the aim, right? It's also to get your attention, and to keep you engaged to watch the video.
Yeah.
The song is the song. It's a song for a reason. We all know it at some point of time as we come into this country through ways of being birthed or otherwise. It's a bit on the nose. What does that mean? Not gonna lie. Well, the voice. You're the voice.
Yeah. What do you mean by on the nose?
Semantics. It's too. Sometimes it's too smart. Like how would you say this, Kat?
Well, considering, yes, the actual referendum is called The Voice.
The Voice.
And then this song is You're the Voice. It's like almost fits too perfectly.
Yeah. And sometimes simple is the best way, but because when we're even talking about communicating, right, it's promoting the voice. Could it infer potentially that they're trying to say that collectively we are the voice, even though it is in regards to First Nations. It's trying to involve a lot of different people in together on this specific topic. There could be multiple.
So you're saying, sorry, just so that I understand it correctly, the argument against for the song is that it's too clean. I'm confused.
No, it seems very poetic in the
Isn't that a good
setting.
thing?
It's a good thing, but I mean, we've got the cynical sides as well, right? Where it feels that, you know, appropriating the song for what it is, trying to push it, etc.
I mean, but he agreed to it.
Well,
Like,
this is the thing. So
he-
this is the other thing, right?
Yeah.
I guess coming from the previous segment where songs are being used without permission. John Farnham is very, I was reading earlier today that he's actually very particular about when his songs could be used. Because can you imagine
this would be
how
asked
many
how many
people
times. Yeah, I
would
can
be
see that.
wanting that song?
But we agree that he's agreed to this being used,
He
right?
has given the rights to the song.
Yeah.
Yes. What I'm saying is purely from a comms point of view as a viewer.
Yeah.
It seems too perfect to fit in. And that's why the choice of the song is very important, because it's for me, I felt there would have been, it's a great opportunity to have actually used an Aboriginal or First Nations artist. There's many that have come through in recent years. If we're talking about true representation, maybe of the topic, this is
I get what you're
talking
saying.
about the comms,
All right.
not necessarily the question at hand.
Okay.
I just think that if we're talking, again, the comms, if it's supposed to, if it's trying to unite people to understand the issue, right, and to be involved in the vote, because, you know, regular punters might have, they'll have varying opinions, right? Well, they'll think, well, this is not about me. If it's about First Nations people, it's not really about me. Why would I have a say in that vote, right? But it's funny that they've used this song as a means to unite people, but symbolically, I don't know, Kat, does that make sense to you? Like,
Yes,
it doesn't, yeah.
You fear that it's like that fear that like what it actually is about, what the actual cause is for, gets lost in the fact that we're just focusing on the song, for example.
Yeah.
But the song is okay. I hear what you're saying. Okay, what about past the song? Give me your view, and then I'll.
So,
give my
past
song
the,
is 50% of
past
it,
the
right?
song,
and visual.
again, as I
But
said,
the song clearly is the bit that we're talking about because it grabs you in the beginning.
That's
Yes.
the
So
point.
it's a big bit.
It's
right?
effective.
It's supposed to grab you and your interest, like as if you're gonna turn that song off.
I've got
you
a
know,
viewpoint on
lead
that.
up
But
to
apart
it.
from what about visuals and
Visuals,
execution?
it's beautiful execution, because
think it
again,
was
it's
effective?
It's storytelling, because there are key points in history where you look like, and again, this is supposed to speak to a lot of people. This is broad mass awareness,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there are so many different generations that were there for certain periods, like talking to the Bob Hawke days and whatnot,
Yeah.
with Marbo and everything that happened there. And there are a lot of people that would only have seen, you know, the second half of the stuff, like
Yes.
from 2000 onwards,
Yes.
right? Like even the gun reform.
That was
did
John Howard.
Did that
yeah.
happen in the 90s? Like,
Yes.
I was a baby then, right?
John Howard days. I was.
You
not,
were non-existent.
I was non-existent.
So it was a very good choice of using those examples where, and you're equating this decision in the likes of all of this history as well.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I get where you're coming from. So as I understand your position, song maybe a bit lukewarm to down.
Look, I love
visuals. Perfect.
It makes sense.
For the ad.
The song, I sit in two camps.
Yeah.
Great choice, but then also,
Yeah.
could we have been a bit more inclusive perhaps in maybe using a different song?
Okay.
But again, it's the brief.
Yeah.
What is your desired impact?
Yeah. So what's the desired impact for again, we're looking at this in marketing. So please don't like take it about the yes or no and the merits of it, because this is not what this debate or conversation is about.
Yes.
So the brief
I'm saying yes to your point.
The brief of any marketing campaign is in this particular case is to create awareness, but it's to is to convert people to yes voting, right? Yeah. Like
Yes.
in this example, it is, right? There's no debate. There's no
I
debate.
agree with that
No
statement.
debate about that. So to put it out
Just
there,
being very specific.
to put it out there, this is a very generalist statement, so I don't want to get smashed on this. They don't have to necessarily, again, very generalist, convince the Aboriginals for it. So this song is a mass market song. They have to convince the wider public.
Yeah.
If I'm a Fijian Indian, which I am, and I come and you play an Aboriginal song, my mom is not going to get it. Like older generation
Yeah,
are not going to get it.
I
John
know.
Farnham, yes, a fucking banger. Even if I don't know it, this song is a
I
CG chord.
know.
So that is the bit. It's mass market, at least from a song sort of perspective. So if you think of the brief, not a piece of art, in my mind, they've ticked that box well, because it's not about creating an amazing piece of art. They've probably done some level of research to understand that. Secondly, this song for John Farnham is about protesting. It's about that side of life, right? Like the song, You're the Voice. At least that's what I read. Please research there. But it's about it's talking about you're the voice, right? It's that element of life there, right? So there's two things. One is this is where you're right, where I understand what you're coming from. The complication is he's saying you're the voice. This just happens to be called the voice.
Yeah.
But when you invite a call to arms for a referendum, whether we decide yes as a country or no, that is the voice. It just happens to be you're enlisting the voice for the voice.
The semantics is I can
see what you're saying, but to me, in every facet that you see it, this song works personally, right? So that's my view on it, and I can see how they got it. Because if you put an Aboriginal song, and they're amazing Aboriginal artists. This year, I heard of one called Stingray. It was the best live performance that I've ever been to. Amazing. They had the didgeridoo and everything, but they were outright rockers. So I agree. They could definitely have gone down that route. But you would think that it's not, they have to appeal to a mass market audience that probably doesn't know, and that element is important, right? Just because the first thing that we talked about is the song. Secondly, the visuals were great, but this is where, linking to my point about what is the actual aim of a marketing campaign to convert, you don't have to convert, and this is probably going to tell you where I am going to vote, but for people, let's just say that you're voting yes. You don't have to convert me. This ad, from a visual perspective, if I'm saying yes, it just gets me G'd up about it.
Yes.
But if I'm
I agree
saying
with that.
no, I don't think it gets me anywhere. And I'll tell you why. One is it's 2 minutes, right? And because it's so emotive and fast, think of the people that need to be convinced otherwise why. I think that they missed an opportunity to overlay text to actually speak to what this is going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that the average expectancy for an Aboriginal is X amount? Because that's what this is like.
Yeah.
Because it's too artsy for its own good. So what this means, if you're a younger generation and you're saying yes, I'm all in, bro. I love this shit. This song slaps. I'm gonna play it on my acoustic guitar and put it on my freaking TikTok, right? But if you are older and you're like, what is this about?
Yeah.
All I'm seeing is like really cool images, but you haven't told me why I would think about it. And I think they really missed it. And I don't know who created this. It's a very modern, it's fine. Like, it is what it is. It's a very modern thing. But like, again, the brief of a marketing campaign is to appeal to the people that you want to talk to. And again, if I'm already on the yes camp, I don't need another, my votes are not going to be 2x, 3x, right? You want to talk to maybe an older generation. I'm being very generalist over here. My mom, migrants that I have no foot in the door. Like, I don't know. I don't feel strongly about it. Or Anglo-Saxon Australians that maybe like, why would I? Maybe I don't feel strongly about it. A lot do, by the way, again. So please don't hammer us for it. I'm just giving a range of opinions, which is going to put out there. So that's where I think they probably missed it by being too cutesy on it. I don't know how else to verbalize it.
Well, this is the thing. This is 100% the, I think you've touched upon that right there, where it's, how do you try to convince people but don't alienate people?
Yes.
I think that's really hard, because time and time again, from another point of view, from advertising, it's emotions, the use of emotions to elicit some action, right? And more time and time again, I mean, it depends, right? Positive is good reinforcement, and then in some instances,
Positive is always better than
negative.
negative.
Because
But-
the negative example that I always think about is the AIDS campaign, like with like the death, and it's like rolling the
or the
people.
children like starving, like you're pushing that
it's
sort of.
really, it can be really jarring at times,
Yeah.
right? And I think it really look, maybe potentially there could be another the next piece that comes
So
to
that's
it.
what I was
I do
thinking.
want to say
Yeah.
here, like, just to again fact check. It would be interesting to hear the brief,
creators,
to be
yeah.
honest, right? So it's transformative moments in Australia's history to galvanize support for its Yes campaign on the referendum for a First Nations voice. Major national advertising campaign has launched via The Monkeys, which is an advertising agency, directed by filmmaker, and sorry, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Kayate Taiman, Warwick
So it's by an
Thornton,
Aboriginal person too,
by
right?
production company Photoplay. Yep. So this is the thing. It's you could have gone about it multiple angles, but you need to, I think ultimately the brief would have been make people feel good about the decision that they want to make, regardless of what decision it is. And it's, I guess, noting that all votes will contribute to some history.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But by the way, just to put it out there, this video got released today at time of recording. There's a couple of October, right? We've got like a month, 14th October,
Next month,
right?
yes.
We've got effectively...
We've got a month and a half.
Which is... the only reason I'm saying this is could be followed up by more. So maybe it's part one of... We don't know. We're reacting to the one video here. And as a result, our opinions have focused, assuming that this is just a standalone video. But, it's going to be an interesting time. And I think it's just an interesting advertising moment just to look at it, because a referendum doesn't happen frequently at all, but it has so many parallels to an election in the sense of how it's administered from an execution perspective. And as a result, I think, at least as marketers, we're going to be looking really closely to how this narrative is pushed, at least from an advertising sort of perspective. Because there's no doubt, as it comes closer, we're going to see stuff on the TV. Like, I would think so.
Oh, and it's not just advertising, right? It's the interviews that happen, the stories that get pushed out.
But the interviews that happen, just say on social, there's heaps of that now, right? You have to search for it. When you go to TV route, you're pushing it instead of pulling that, which means to me that
or online video and whatnot.
But again, online video, you're right. If you were getting retargeted or putting in a review, but that to me is interesting because then you really see what the power backers or that be are pushing it out there. But it's interesting, and
all we could ever do is just go research, make an informed decision.
And as an Australian vote, you're given an opportunity, you're given a voice to speak of the voice, and regardless of where you lean, it's actually a pretty big
responsibility as a citizen. Yeah.
So we're in a generation where you can go to YouTube, you can type on the internet, what does this actually mean? There are lots of information sites out there.
More than ever,
have an
got
opinion.
yeah.
Like have an opinion, whichever way.
Find
be
out
respectful.
things. Yeah.
Be respectful because this is a very sensitive topic. But have an informed opinion, so that when your mate talks to you, are you voting yes or no? Why? You can actually look and say, I know why. Whether you agree with that is your prerogative, but we're in a country that actually gives us that opportunity.
Exactly. So you have at least a month and a half to prepare for
Get
that.
that out, or depending on when you watch this video. But
Exactly. Well, I guess that wraps up this week's episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this to your friends. Also look out for the Spotify audio version for the podcasts. Anything else you guys would like to plug?
oh, good. It's nice to have a producer to reel
To keep us in check and whatnot. Be kind in the comments, but we'd love to hear from you.
Doesn't matter.
Yes. Exactly.
And tell a friend.
See you next time. Cheap.
All right. Bye.
Bye.